Do you think this bro gives a crap about your pronouns, dude? Don't you care about LGHDTV rights? Ding Lei is just like, nah, don't really care. They think that they just deserve money for their gay ass art project, regardless of how dumb it is and regardless of the fact that nobody wants it. That's how arrogant these people are. And like, look at the oppression Olympics going on here. What's going on, guys? So, based Chinese spyware game Marvel Rivals keeps increasing its player count. It's up to 20 million players, and it has all of these gorgeous female models in the game. And meanwhile, NetEase has also announced that they're closing their American development studio and firing a bunch of employees. And is it any surprise? Because who wants to deal with these people, man? Like, it's just a bunch of HR violations and a bunch of you need to use the right pronouns when you're talking to me. Bleh. All of the good games are coming from the East now, whether it's Stalker 2 in Russia, whether it's Chinese games, Korean games, Japanese games. Guys, do you blame NetEase for firing all these American development studios? So the larger story here by Stephen Totillo is, in an industry earthquake, NetEase plans to cut more all-star game studios. And we'll get more into that in a second. But it's because these companies are focused on, oh my gosh, making money. Imagine these companies prioritizing happy gamers because happy gamers give them money. And China is the only country who seems to understand that. And guys, we're going to get into this in a second, but I think it's an absolute shame. And look at America here, dude. We only have ourselves to blame. And it's because these horrible, horrible people, we've let them work at our game studios. We've sacrificed our values and we've allowed these people to make our video games. 20 years ago, America made the best games and China was doing offshoot work, but now it's flipped. China is making the best games and America is just the lower level consumers now. And I hope you guys will learn. Like, do you think these LGBTQ freaks and weirdos will finally wake up and learn and see what the problem is? That people just want traditional masculinity and femininity in their games. They don't want a bunch of woke garbage and nonsense. So all of this got kicked off when Grums tweeted this. NetEase isn't just laying off the 6-person Marvel Rivals team. NetEase is also pulling funding from Western and potentially Japanese gaming studios. The CEO is said to be very unsatisfied with Western developers, calling them lazy, entitled, slow, and woke, according to a source that I spoke with. And guys, do you think this bro gives a crap about your pronouns, dude? This guy, his name's Ding Lei. He is a internet tech billionaire. He's kind of like China's Elon Musk. Dude, you don't make billions and billions of dollars by being sensitive about people's feelings. I'll tell you that much. So you imagine these lesbians coming up and being like, don't you care about LGHDTV rights? Ding Lei is just like, nah, don't really care. Make me money. That's all I care about. Make me some money. But guys, I just wanted to point out another game that's trending right now is this Chinese game Mecha Break. Guys, Chinese developers are crushing it right now. They just seem to understand what we want in the West because they don't care about the politics, man. They just want to make cool games with hot chicks and cool dudes and guns and fire and all of the things that we love in video games. And these people are obsessed with their gay ass retarded art projects, man. Nobody wants to play your gay ass retarded art project game. I don't have to pay money for that. Give me cool shit or I'm not going to buy your game. Y'all, how funny is this? This is kind of random, but a bunch of politicians. Germany is one of the most woke countries in the West. And so this was a meeting of a bunch of German politicians. And like, look at the oppression Olympics going on here. You've got top left German guy looking like a final boss, dressed up as a woman, just all these weirdos, another guy dressed up as a woman. And then this black guy in a wheelchair. Dude's trying to win the oppression Olympics. He's like, I am the most disabled person you could possibly get. I've got all of society working against me because I'm black and I'm in a wheelchair. But guys, I just want to remind y'all what a great time the 2000s was in the old US of A, because think of all the cultural products we were making in video games. Halo was created here. Uncharted was created here. Gears of War was created here, but it was done by based developers in the 2000s. And guys, what cultural product are we creating now? It can't even match what they were doing with Elder Scrolls Oblivion like 15 years ago, dude. Like, we have these trash developers, we have trash creatives. America is making the worst games now. And 20 years ago, we were making the best games. And so it's absolutely awful. But I want to get into this article really quickly. Stephen Totillo, in an industry earthquake, NetEase plans to cut more all-star game studios. It's actually pretty wild. All of the freaking Western studios that they're closing. Um, Fantastic Pixel Castle, Rebel Wolves, Worlds Untold, Skybox Labs, Jackalyptic Games, Jar of Sparks, Anchor Point Studios, T Minus Zero, Bullet Farm, Quantic Dream, and Anchor Point Studios. And guys, I guarantee you, because I did a little bit of this, if you go and look at who works at these studios, it's a bunch of woke idiots with pronouns and LGBTQ disgusting homo flags on their stuff. I respect what this dude is doing because Ding Lei here, do you think this dude gives a crap about your pronouns? Dude doesn't give a crap. He wants a good game that people are going to buy. And Western studios have demonstrated that they cannot create games. Like it began, I'd say it began even back in 2017 with BioWare and just hiring a bunch of woke idiots to work on Mass Effect Andromeda. And it's only gotten worse from there. And what we've proven is that America is quickly becoming a second tier development studio to places like Japan and Korea and China, where the best developers in the world are. So, yeah, there's been I'm sure somebody will come up with a term for this, but there's been a huge reversal. In the 2000s, the US was creating the best games. Now the US is consuming games. In the 2000s, China was consuming games. And now I would also include China, Korea, and Japan in here. All of these Eastern companies are creating the best games while the US is lagging behind. And guys, is it any surprise we've got freaks and weirdos who are confused about their gender? We've got all these degenerates here. We've got people who are playing the oppression Olympics and like, oh, I'm so oppressed. You have to give me free stuff because I'm black and I'm in a wheelchair. But really, a huge problem is women. Women should not be. I don't want to say women entirely shouldn't be in the industry, but we should have way less than we do because they don't know how to make video games. Honestly, they simply biologically don't know how to make games for men. And then you have freak weirdos like Patrick Weeks saying stuff like this on his Twitter. Introduce myself to the team as lead writer and dragon romance specialist at today's meeting. Anybody who wants me to present something on a Friday knows what they signed up for. Dude, get fired, bro. Leave the industry. Nobody, hopefully, Veilguard absolutely collapsing shows that this dude does not deserve a job at any Western game studio. But guys, moving on here, what is the solution? And I'm just going to be really blunt with y'all. I think all of us need to learn how to code and all of us need to get off of our asses. I'm personally working on 2 different video games right now. I'm writing and creating the art for 2 different video games. And the only way that this cultural shift is going to happen is if we start creating cultural products. So I love complaining about video games. Y'all know I love complaining about video games, but we all need to be part of the solution too. Whether you're giving your money to somebody who's making based games, or making a based game yourself. And I just want to mention here before I get into the main part of this video, I want to mention the It's Based Game Jam and my buddy Duke over there who runs the thing. These guys, and look, these guys are not making AAA games. They're making games with 4 or 5 people, small indie games, but some of them are actually really good. These guys recently got banned from the homos over on Itch. I freaking hate Itch so much. And it sucks because Itch is like the only place where you can play indie games, and they got banned from it. So please follow these guys. Please join their game jam. Whether you're an artist or a coder, learn how to code, learn Photoshop. I'm doing this in Adobe Premiere right now, but we all need to just level up our skills and stop. All of us, including myself, I'm speaking to myself here. We need to stop consuming and we need to start making. I think is a good thing for all of us. But guys, I want to get into the big problem here that I see with all of the stuff going on with Marvel Rivals. And the problem, as I see it, is entitlement. This is the big problem that we have in the West. And I want to talk about a bunch of useless, shit-stained developers who think that they're entitled. And entitlement begins with, I deserve blank. I deserve a job. I deserve citizenship. I deserve a comfortable life. I deserve. Whereas Ding Lei up there in China, that dude's like, you don't deserve shit. You don't deserve anything. Aside from that, I owe you nothing. These developers think that we owe them jobs. They think that we should just, they think that they just deserve money for their gay ass art project, regardless of how dumb it is and regardless of the fact that nobody wants it. That's how arrogant these people are. But just going back to Ding Lei, this dude is like, no, you deserve nothing. You deserve nothing. You'll get nothing. I'll fire you when I want to. You need to do exactly what I say or I'll fire you, is what this guy is saying. And that is the right of an employer to say that. Every employer can just say, nope, you're not doing what I told you to do. You're fired. And good for him. Guys, on a larger note here, I just want to talk about entitlement in general. Foxconn, the Foxconn suicides, this was something that happened back in 2007 in China. Look, I'm not going to tell y'all that these are great working conditions in these other countries. China, working conditions in China and Cambodia and the Far East and Asia are absolutely awful. And like, shouldn't that make us so thankful for the way we have it here? Like, guys, life is so easy and so blessed and so wonderful in Western countries compared to waking up every day and working at somewhere like Foxconn, where they're committing suicide and they're killing themselves. So, guys, I just want to encourage y'all with this. You woke up this morning and that's a gift from God, but you don't deserve that. You don't deserve a good job. You could be in Cambodia working on clothes to sell at Old Navy or J. Crew right now. And so I have found a wonderful thing is to wake up every morning and say, I deserve nothing. And everything I have in my life is a gift from God. And the way you become a shitty, resentful, spiteful person like Hassan here, he made a video about me the other day. I'm gonna respond to it pretty soon here. But people like this, they hate life. And they hate life because they think that they're owed something. And it's so freeing. It's so freeing and it's so wonderful to just say, I am owed nothing. All of life is given to me by grace, and I could die at any moment because I deserve nothing. I feel like it's really a freeing way to live. But guys, first I want to talk about this guy Mark Dara, and he was an executive producer on Veilguard, and he essentially said this in a video: I deserve to make whatever I want and you need to buy it.
Did you read the title? Did it say something like your $70 doesn't buy you cruelty? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. The fact that you bought a game that you didn't like doesn't give you the right to be cruel or unkind to the people that developed that game. Now,
it actually does, Mark. It 100% gives me the right to be cruel and to say whatever I want. Number one, because this is a free effing country. We're not like England. We're not like Ireland where they get thrown in jail for saying stuff on the internet. It's a free effing country and I can say whatever I want, Mark. But secondly, just because you worked on a game doesn't mean you have to buy it. Mark, you're an entitled piece of shit. I don't have to buy whatever you made. To go back to my quote, to go back to my quote from Daniel, I give you money when you offer something I find value in. Aside from that, I owe you nothing. He's essentially saying I deserve to make whatever I want and you have to buy it. Guys, do we wonder why the West is dying? Do we wonder why this is happening right now? It's happening because of entitled, shitty people. The entire Western game development world is run by these LGBTQ weirdos, and they are why America has dropped to number 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. This is why Western game development studios are closing, is because of this attitude of entitlement. And China and Ding Lei and all of these Eastern people, they don't have that retarded sense of entitlement that we have. But Greg Miller essentially went on stage at the DICE Awards and he said this. He essentially said, I deserve a job in the industry. So last week at the DICE Awards, he proudly announced, stop firing people, was what he said. All of you companies, y'all just the solution is that you companies just need to stop firing people like a child throwing a tantrum. And the more I thought about it, what Greg was doing, it's like a child. So imagine you're the father in a household and this is your son getting a bunch of cookies. And imagine that you as the father lose your job and you can't buy cookies anymore. And it's like your son, your little boy saying, "Well, daddy, we just need more cookies. We just need more cookies in the house." That's the solution. And you sit your son down and you try to explain to your son, son, I need a job to buy a house and to buy a car and to buy all these things. One of those things being cookies. You're essentially dealing with a man child here who doesn't seem to understand how economics work because, um, sweetie Greg, while you're saying stop firing people, the larger problem is that these games aren't making money. Greg, instead of saying stop firing people to game developers, you should say start making games people want. But he can't see that far ahead because he's like a child eating cookies. He's like, well, the problem is cookies. The problem is we need more cookies in the house. And then you, as the father, are coming in and saying, Greg, kiddo, the problem is not cookies. The problem is I don't have a job anymore. We're not making money anymore. This is another clip I wanted to show y'all of somebody who I think is incredibly titled. It's this chick, Eddie, who she was an influencer. She was actually friends with the creative director, Corinne Bush of Dragon Age. Watching the meltdown as BioWare basically put her out to pasture and did not care about what she was saying anymore was actually pretty awesome. So let's watch this clip of Eddie talking.
It's just a lot. It's just a whole lot. Because now I'm in a position where I don't think BioWare is on my side.
Yeah, sorry about that, Eddie. So sad, so sad. You don't deserve to have a company's attention. You don't deserve to have anything from a company. And it's clear that with Dragon Age Veilguard being one of the most massive video game failures of a AAA game that we've seen in a while, it makes sense that they would distance themselves from trans weirdos like you, Eddie. You don't deserve money. You don't deserve attention. You don't deserve anything. But it's this entitlement mentality that is absolutely rotting the West to the core. Let's move on to another incredibly entitled person is Alana Pierce, who keeps sucking all the dicks she can to think that she deserves a job in the industry. Meanwhile, she's working on God of War cookbooks and telling everybody that she works at Santa Monica Studios. So yeah, she's desperately trying to figure out which dick she needs to suck to keep her job. And she tweets things like this. Thoughts are with everyone suffering the very unique loss that is pouring all of your time and energy into something for years just to have it be canceled because of poor corporate decision making. You know, it's like you have to explain basic economics to these people. And look, I've worked in a creative field for all my life, so I understand how this junk works. Alana, let me ask you this. Was Sony Santa Monica paying you to launch a successful game, or were they paying you for your work while you were working at the company? And it's clear that Sony Santa Monica was paying you for whatever work you did at that company, whether or not it led to a successful game. That's how every single company works. That's how every single job works. They are paying you to do work, which may or may not contribute to a final product that gets made into a game. But again, the entitlement comes in. She's saying, "Oh, I was entitled to the game that I worked on launching and being successful." No, sweetie, that's not how video games work. That's not how companies work. The company is paying you to work on a game for a while, and they're paying for your creative product for a little while, but they didn't make any promises about a game launching or whatever it is you're expecting. Also, side note here, it looks like Alana is now working on this game Layers Deep. It's a game, kind of looks like a Souls-like game in which you play as an onion. So I would put this game on my non-binary do not buy list just because Alana, who is a complete leftist, gay communist shill, is working on it. But guys, one last clip I want to look at here.
Tens of thousands of gamers have been laid off at a level that is unprecedented in the industry's history.
I love this brand. I love this company. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do?
I actually started in games relatively late, even though I've loved the industry ever since I was a little child.
And look, I'm absolutely happy that this guy is helping people find jobs, but the reality is that most of these people don't deserve jobs. Like, guys, I keep looping back to the China thing. China has proven that we don't deserve to be, most American developers don't deserve to be working in the industry. We don't deserve to be making games because the games that are woke LGBTQ weirdos that seem to work in the games industry in America, these people don't deserve jobs. So whenever I see people, it's always people on the left who are complaining about layoffs. But whenever I see people on the left complaining about layoffs, I just think if your game was not profitable, all you've proven is that you actually didn't deserve a job in the industry. And the industry is going to be better when you are fired. So I'm actually, so if Corinne Bush here on the right, who worked on Veilguard, if it's a he actually, but if he is fired, I will celebrate because he made a terrible game. He ruined a franchise. He ruined Dragon Age and he ruined BioWare. So we should actually celebrate when these people lose their jobs. I guess what I'm really getting at is that not all firings are bad and not all layoffs are bad if it's bad people. And just to leave y'all with one final funny quote. So this was somebody was mad that Avowed is doing so terribly right now. And they said this: racist bigotry won again. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Does your day feel that little bit better knowing a great developer comprised of hardworking folks is going to likely be shut down over this? All because you can't whack off to ugly character designs and cry about woke games all the time. Get the memo. This game wasn't for you in the first place. Look, if the game wasn't for us, then of course it's not going to make money. Again, to go back to my wisdom, to go back to the wisdom of my buddy D Morg, he said this: I give you money when you offer something I find value in. Aside from that, I owe you nothing. Look, Chinese companies are giving players what they want. Chinese companies are giving us attractive women in games. They're giving us fun gameplay. They're giving us what we want. And it's nice to see people like this billionaire guy, Ding Lei. The dude understands that. Do you think this guy cares about the purity or the ideology or whatever of video games? This dude just wants to make money. And guys, at the end of the day, this is what we need to be focusing on. What games are successful, what games are making money, because those are the games that are going to have a future, that are going to have a long life and a long development studio. But getting caught up in pronouns, getting caught up in this satanic nonsense with people who are just like all of these people are just HR violations walking around. They're going to create discord because, guys, as we know, that's what Satan does. All of these people are satanic because what Satan loves to do is he loves to sow discord and he loves to sow problems at your company. And so what these Chinese spyware companies know is they just want to create games. They don't want HR violations and they want efficient workers. So guys, yeah, it's sad to see America go down this rabbit hole. I hate saying that my home country of America is making the worst games now, but it seems that China, Korea, and Japan are number one now. And you know, the great USA has fallen, and it's fallen because of woke satanic leftist idiots. And so we need to stop supporting these people. We need to stop supporting their satanic nonsense. We need to never buy a game from these people again. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Bye.